Mr. Shaheen, did you recognize what Brad, I'm assuming you talked to him about
I
that?
did, yes, sir. I spoke with Brad on that, and I believe that, given the fact that the lower level on that was dealt with it was exterior-only appraisal, given the fact that this lower level itself was considered, and the bank would have actually gone in and had pictures taken in the whole 9 yards, that appraiser would have seen it, and he would have considered for it. But at the end of the day, from my perspective, again, looking at the comparables, the distance between the county's comparables and the county's uses of those comparables with the comparables in this report, I believe give a better understanding of the neighborhood values within those areas. While I can respect the county's contention that the lower basement should be adjusted for more, I believe that he would be correct if the comp was closer to the comps of the county. The county's comps, as I said, are more than 1.5 miles away on average. And those are different comps with a different neighborhood. In this neighborhood, the bank chose to allow the appraiser to do this and take it as a registered value because it's stamped appraisal. I can't argue with his contention. So,
Yes, sir, Brad.
If I may speak to the comps and why I pulled on where I did. The reason I went to where I did to get the comparables is so I could pull comparables with finished basements. So I wanted to pull as comparable as I can. They're the same quality. They're in Venture Valley, which, if I'm not mistaken, is probably another phase of Providence Downs. It's right down the road. Providence Downs just kept on adding and adding. If it's not another phase of Providence Downs, it's very similar, extremely comparable. And if you'll look at the comps, all of my comps had finished basements in them. So I tried, comp number 1 is extremely comparable. It has almost the same amount of finished basement. It sold for $1.5 million, and we're only saying $1.265 for the subject. That's our opinion of value. We're not going to 1.5. Comp 2 is at $1,366,000. It is slightly larger. It's 400 square foot larger on the main level, and another 600 on the finished. It is sold for $1.366. For comp number 1 and 2 were the most comparable, and they both sold for more than what we're indicating or asking for value on this one.
Okay. All right. Bella?
Tab number 2, parcel ID number 01129005. Mr. Larry Shaheen is represented for Vicky and Robert Howell.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Well, thank you.
No, that's the case number.
Thank you.
You want to, do you want to pull it up, or do you want me to? You go. You've never done it? Huh?
We can't use this, can we, Dutch? It's 21.
Yeah, that's right.
I
think you're right.
We can't use this.
I think you're gonna have to break the news to him.
Come out, do you think that's good?
You know, this appraisal, unless I'm mistaken,
It's structural only, but we're going to go through it. Part of the value of this parcel is in the president's value program. So we did this from a structural only appraisal to deal with the structure only, not the land. If you look at the values on improvements.
This parcel's north of Marshville off Gold Mine Road.
Other than the fact that Mr. Morrison and I are going to have a discussion about how to spell my last name. We can deal with that later. I stand ready when you are, Mr. Chairman.
you go right ahead, sir.
Thank you, sir. All right, so the subject is located in northeastern Union County. This is for Vicky and Robert Howell. We do not disagree with the county's land assessed value. This issue is simply a matter of the value of the improvements on the land itself. We commissioned an appraisal from Morrison Appraisal Incorporated here in Monroe, North Carolina. I wanted to have a far more local look just because it was a local home. That value, as it came, was on the improvements. The improvement value was $418,000. And if you look in here at their comments, one of the things you'll notice is that this home does indeed, was newly built, and the client requested that the assessed improved value be analyzed. In order to do this, similar new construction homes in the Marshville area was used. The estimated land values are extracted from each sale to isolate the improvements. That's how we did that. Land values are based on comparable sales, or in this case of sale 3, the price paid for the lot with adjustment for market conditions. Sales are adjusted for age to account for physical depreciation. Square footage adjustments based on the regression analysis. Each sale is adjusted for amenities such as the subject properties, triple car garage, double fireplace, front and rear porch, and equipment shed and gazebo. Sale 1 has a partially finished basement and requires additional adjustment. It based on matched paired analysis after all other adjustments are made. The sales range for all comparables was $410,000 to $423,000, with sale 2 appearing lower than the others. The estimated value of the improvements is $420,000 with an adjustment to $418,000. And just one final word, we really do appreciate the county working with us on this. They have reduced it significantly from its original value, and again, that's more of a testament to Van and his team, and we're just more grateful for that. We just wanted to make sure, we commissioned this appraisal before we had looked at the lower value. The county come in with the lower value, and because there was a difference in value, we're not here disputing necessarily anything too specific. We just want to present this appraisal and get that improvement value down to where we feel it should be. So, thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Shaheen, Ray?
You're at 505,000, right?
Again, today, if you'll look, the building value is at $502,800. We're asking for a reduction from that value to $418,000. So the total would be the land value of $196,500, which we're not disputing, plus the $418. That would get your value far closer to their number. I believe that number would be $614,000 is the number we're requesting today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Dutch, any questions?
No, I don't. No, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Shaheen.
Thank you, sir.
Donnie?
I had 2 compers because I didn't know how this was going to go, but there's one without land, and that grid estimate is $474,100. So what I did is I have 4 sales. I removed the land values from the comparable sales, so we're just looking at improvement value. That grid estimate comes in at $474,100, and it supports our value of $502,800 since the land is not in contention. I'd like to point out on the owner's appraisal, there are 4 comps on that appraisal. 2 of them are from 2019, and the distance, the owner's comps range 4 to 17 miles from the subject, and our comps range 2.5 to 5.5 miles from the subject. So we feel our comps are much closer to the subject, a little bit more comparable. None of them have basements.
This land, to me, tell me about, is it wooded, farmed, pastures?
It appears that the trees are planted on purpose. I do not know. That's outside of my purview, if it's in a
Okay,
PUV.
I just wonder, because that, I'm getting about, I'm around that 4,300 acres, seems kind of light. Yes, sir, Brad?
I've been on that property before, sir, and it's timbered and pine plantation on the front, as you can see, and hardwoods on the back.
He's correct. It's in part of it's in the present use value program. So that's why it's light.
Mike, any questions for Donnie? Mark?
So you said the distance and the comps in Rob's appraisal
are 4 to 17 miles. You can see
4
that.
to 17 miles, that's what I wanted to hear, what
Yes, sir.
that first number.
4 to 17. It's a little bit under 4, 3.98, 17.2.
All right, I don't have any questions.
Is there just one dwelling on this property?
There is. The green roof structure is an outbuilding.
Which we are not contending the value of that. That we've dealt with on there was a discovery on that, which we've treated so.
How much did that factor in the county's value, that little building?
It was included. I don't
I
know
think it is
right off the top of my head.
12,000. This property, does it have road frontage on Old Gold Mine, or is it a right-of-way?
It's I don't know if they own that parcel or not. I don't know if I can identify it from here.
Click it, it'll come up.
Yeah, do the identify button.
Oop, let me hit that. Got it.
There you go, and then click right there.
So they own the parcel beside, so there's no issue with road frontage.
Okay. Dutch, you got any questions?
I'm good.
Ray? Thank you, Donnie. Yes, sir, Mr. Shane.
Only thing I'll bring attention to the county's comps, I agree, county's comps are closer, but they're not similar in nature. If you look at the change here, this house is of course set up off the road. It is a wooded area. It's back in ways a little bit. The reason that Rob he spoke to me specifically about these comps, he said finding something that was very similar to this with these specific characteristics was difficult. So that was part of the reason for those comparables. Secondarily, when you look to the actual value itself of the home, when you're dealing with that home itself, it's very doubtful that you're going to be able to transfer that home as you would a similar home that's on a similar, just a small lot all by itself when you're dealing with all of this additional land. So when I asked Rob to do this, I trust Rob to do this, and at the end of the day, this was what he came back with. So,
Okay,
thank you, sir.
thank you, sir. All right, go, Belma.
Okay, moving on to parcels 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are going to be heard all together, and that is parcel ID number 05115031, 05115031A, 05115031C, 05115031D, and 05115031E.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you'll permit me to play an Eagle View. These are in downtown Waxhaw, or
Sorry.
uptown, however that's politically correct. Next to the old school. These parcels right here, starting with this one-story structure down to this one right here, are the parcels in question.
And to your right, still old school, go back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry. Yep, right there's the old school.
yeah.
Providence Road as it crosses the railroad tracks and adjusts.
Good, but scan back larger. I like it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's gonna think for a minute. There we go.
You're gonna have to call the PC guru.
Are those buildings just like individual apartments or duplex?
I'll let
Go get him in a minute.
I'll let the owner speak and then I'll.
Oh, I forgot.
Mr. Pfister,
Yes.
step up if you would. Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Doing fine.
So the appraiser gave me a revised value of the property that I have this morning. This is the third value that I've received from him. If you go to my Exhibit G and look at the appraiser's zero, he's got it labeled as Zero Brevard. It's parcel number 05115031D. You can see the two different values. The ones that I have and that I based all my comments and everything on was valued at 227, and his revised estimate is at 212.25, which is better, but in my view, it's still not where this parcel needs to be. So I just want to let you know that this is the third time that I've received a different valuation on the parcel. I'm going to start kind of with my opening statement, and I kind of need a structure just because there's a lot of stuff to get through, and essentially I'm trying to do all 5 of these right here, right now, because they're all next to each other. They all share the same characteristics. And if we can come to some value, on one, then I think we can come to a value on all of them. So I'm appealing my tax valuation because my project is non-conforming, and the estimate the tax administrator calculated does not adhere to the uniform standards of professional appraisal best practices. Both in the comparison property used and in the methodology employed. My project is non-conforming as the property is a 0 lot line subdivision townhome, but construction is detached single-family home with an additional outbuilding and accessory structure, which is a guest house. Additionally, the properties would not be sold individually without legal issues as it stands right now, as there is no ingress-egress access easement in place for parking between the houses. Further, the rear parking access would be severed with the individual sale of a property. At the time of permitting, the subdivision and the buildings met the requirements of the Waxhaw UDO, which has now been changed. The comparison property used by the tax administrator is a new townhome property. The land value, which is applicable, the tax administrator did not use. The building value, which is not applicable, the tax administrator did use. The best practice methodology for a comparison approach appraisal utilizes typically 3 similar but separate properties, but the tax administrator used a single property. Townhome buildings have a unique valuation signature that should only be used with like-kind townhome projects. This is due to the additional value of the HOA land and neighborhood-specific branding and high valuation structured by the developer. Consider the additional value the subject buildings would have if the project site was doubled in size. I specifically use the term building because the value of the HOA land is in the building value and not in the lot. It's not in the lot value. In a townhome property, the HOA land is utilized in the examples that we're going to look at for backloaded parking and specialized on-street parking to create curb appeal, to provide a high-value streetscape, and to maximize lot yield or density units per acre. One way the comparison property can be adjusted is using a ratio, again, one way, is using a ratio of the average size of the subject property lots, which is .077 acres, to the additional land land embedded in the townhome property, which in this case is .066 acres. This percentage is then multiplied by the townhome lot value, and I've run through the calculation. That's a $30,000 deduct from the townhome property as it sits. The tax administrator needs to employ some method, I'm saying some method, to account for this difference in embedded value. The best practice methodology for a single-family home with outbuilding is to appraise the main structure, single-family home, and then to assess the outbuilding separately. The tax administrator has aggregated both structures. The UC Tax Administrator's Uniform Schedule of Values has a clear delineation and precedent for valuing the main structure and the outbuilding separately. There is a huge functional difference between a three-bedroom, two-bath, 1616 square foot contiguous home and a two-bedroom, 1.5 bath, 1,000 square foot home with a one-bedroom, one-bath, 442 square foot guest house. There's a functional difference between a house with a garage and one without. There's a functional difference between tandem parking, which is what my legal parking is, and side-by-side parking, which is the legal parking. Even if you take away the garage from the townhome property, they still have side-by-side parking. We're trying to make these parcels equal in value. If I gave you tandem parking and said, you have your choice between a tandem parking and side-by-side, and the properties are exactly equal, you're going to choose the side-by-side because you're not going to want to get out of bed in the middle of the night to move a car if you've got to get out before your wife. There's an economic difference between the cost of electric heat and lower cost gas heat. The subject is all electric. The comparison has gas. There's a functional difference between a stacked washer dryer and a side-by-side. Again, this is just a utilization. This is common sense. In a side-by-side dryer, you can utilize the storage, and again, in the comps, you have storage above the washer dryer. There's things that are very unique to when you get properties smaller, that there's things that some buyers will just outright reject. While you can adjust in a comparative property for quality and size, a negative functional difference will at least reduce the number of buyers and in turn the value of the property due to reduced demand. Additionally, some buyers will outright reject a property if it does not contain standard features like a garage, further reducing the number of willing buyers. In my calculations, I have not reduced the proposed values by the tax adjuster's depreciation factors as they are dependent upon the final building values approved by you. And I'm just asking that if you can come up with a value that the tax adjuster would adjust the final numbers based upon what, whatever those factors are. And I don't know what those factors are because he's applied something for all these things. The units, the 4 units in the middle, you could see the 435 is a single family, 1 story. But 429, 427, 425, and 423 are identical structures. They were all built, 435 is the oldest property, then 429, 427, 425, and 423, but essentially I've built 1 property per year. So he's applied some factor in the age and made a change. If you go to my spreadsheet, and you kind of pull that out and I basically listed the properties 423 through 435 from the newest to the oldest. And then I've put in the appraiser's assessed land value, my proposed land value, and I think I'm going to start, I want to break this apart, so I'm going to start with the land first. If you go to Exhibit A, I want to talk just a little bit about what this is. So this is the original subdivision, and you can see that it has a sanitary easement that runs through the back of these lots. Both these lot sizes, their widths, basically all the parameters that identify these lots are the same with both townhome projects that I'm going to give to you. So all these characteristics are within. These properties, they're both their sizes, their widths, their acreage, all fall in within these other two comps that we're going to talk about. On Exhibit B is a typical, you can see the typical property, and I just want you to note the sanitary easement, and I want you to note the 0 building setback that the surveyor has noted on each side of this property. It's a 0 lot line, but they're detached. And my demarcation between the two buildings is in the middle of the driveway. Therefore, if I try to sell an individual unit, I'm going to have a problem. I've got to have an easement. I've got to write an easement. Now, I'm not saying that that could not be taken care of. I could have an attorney write the easement, the surveyor would have to survey the easement, then it would have to go in front of the town to be approved, and then it would be recorded. But as it stands right now, it's not. I can't turn around tomorrow and list this one and sell it. Somehow that has to be taken care of. And so he's got to appraise this. My understanding, again, I'm not an appraiser, is that he has to appraise what is, not what could be. Could be a lot of different things. Schedule C brings me to Alma Village Townhomes. This is within a mile of the subject properties, right down Providence Road. And this is, I'm just pulling out the north side of this, because if I went to Go Maps and I did the whole thing, all these little numbers would be really small. So this is a 85 townhome project. The lot acreages run from between 040 and 050 acres. But the lot values are 35.2, all of them, every one. And then I would direct your attention to the little inbox that I put down, Alma Village Townhomes HOA land. The HOA land here, if you add up this acreage, is 1.75 acres with 26 units. That's basically an additional 0.67 acres per unit. The developer used that acreage to develop a backloaded townhome project, which maximized his curb appeal and allowed him to get this density that he had. Somehow, this additional value of the HOA land must be reconciled if he's going to use a townhome project to value something that does not have this additional acreage.
Can we ask you some questions?
Yeah?
Ray, you got any questions for Mr. Pfister?
These are townhomes?
No, they're not. They're
What are
single
they?
family.
They're what?
They're single-family homes. And then behind them is a guest house.
Okay, they're separate units.
Yes, they're all separate units, and that's how he's appraised them, as separate units.
So you're saying that, like on item 5, your value is 186,674?
On which unit now?
Parcel 05115031.
Okay,
That
so
would be your larger unit, I think.
what I'm going to propose to the board, and what I'm going to show you, is I developed, essentially what I did is I developed a building high and a building low. And then I've added it to my proposed land value. And then at the end of that spreadsheet, I have a proposed value for all these units. So on 427, 05115031, my proposed value is $162,694.
Okay.
You've got 180, I thought it was 186. 186,674.
I'm not seeing that.
Tell me a little bit about now, so Waxhaw changed the rules on you? Mm-hmm. So you got it approved
Yeah,
by Waxhaw,
yes,
and you started the project,
yeah.
and then they changed.
Well, the UDO has changed, yeah, you can't do this again.
But you were allowed to?
Yeah, I was grandfathered in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I essentially get, there's no legal issues with the project right
Okay.
now, and all I'm saying is that if you try to pull away a lot right now, you're gonna have a problem because there's not an easement in place between the buildings for the parking. And you're gonna sever the back, this is a valuable piece, it's rental property for me. If you sever that back parking, then you have to deal with that somehow in trying to equalize these two or comps, or the comps that the appraisers used.
These are all rented right now?
Yes, they are.
What, tell us what you rent them for per month.
Each unit rents somewhere between, and it depends upon the unit, because some of them, I have a single family, and then they use it as they want. And then some of them I have is an extended family that pay me separately. It just depends upon the agreement that I came up, that was negotiated with each individual tenant. They're flexible in that regard. So they can accommodate a family that maybe may have an extended. And I did that because I did not want to compete with all your standard rental in the neighborhood. There's lots of that rental. So I wanted to try to create something that was unique, that maybe appeal. Yes, my market may be smaller, but it would give me a little bit more flexibility. So the house is, let's see.
So the main, all right, so you got the main house, and then you've got, I'm gonna call it a mother-in-law suite behind it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So typically, a mother-in-law suite rents for about $500 a month. And then typically, the house rents for $1,250 a month. So $1,250 and $500, but it really depends upon whether there's a single family rented both of it together.
Right.
Or whether I actually have two people. For example.
So what do you get for, if it's just one family renting the entire?
Yeah, it would be the lower value. It'd be the $1,250 and the $500. And so a higher value for the renting, if the granny's rented separately, it's about $750 a month. So for example, in 429, my mother's actually in one of the granny suites.
Okay.
Now she doesn't pay me any money, but,
Sure.
if she did, she would be paying about $750.
Do you live in it also?
No, I don't. I don't.
So you rent the front part to another party?
Yeah, in 429 I do. In some of the other buildings, a single family, and, I try not to get into people's business because families, what the definition of a family these days is highly flexible for people. So I could still get an individual owner, they'll take the whole parcel and they'll do whatever they want with it. But it's a single-family home. It just has that
Okay.
detached.
Dutch, you have any questions?
I don't at this moment. You answered quite a few of mine on the rental piece and the amount. That's where I was going with it too.
Mark, when'd you build them?
I
did you
started
start
in-
the project, I know you did one a year, you said something.
Yeah, I started in 2016. I bought the property in 2015.
Okay,
And,
and then you finally completed the whole project?
no, I have 2 more lots to go.
Yeah, I think I saw there was a picture or something.
Yeah,
Anyway,
there's 2, the last 2 lots, 421, which is 051150331F is still under construction. And then 051150331B has not been started yet. So I'm kind of,
You're just.
it's a mess right now, honestly.
What'd you pay for this?
My typical construction time has gone from 9 months to 18 because of
Sure.
what's going on.
So what did you pay for this land when you bought it in 15?
I spent about $75,000 on the parcel. I bought it before things went through the roof,
For the entire parcel, 75,000?
Yeah, I bought it for $75,000.
Okay.
And then, of course, I had to, I removed the building, which was probably $10,000 in demolition, subdivided the land, brought in the sewer and the water, and so forth
Okay.
and so on.
Right.
So do you have any total, like, your land plus the removal and all that, but do you have a total now of what it's cost you? You said it takes like 9 months to 16 months to,
To complete a building?
yeah, I was trying to look at the cost perspective.
From the cost perspective,
But if you don't have it, you don't have to.
oh,
tell me. mean, that's fine.
yeah. I'm honestly, my cost is about $75 a square foot.
Thank you. No other questions? I'm good.
Well, if you don't mind, let's hear from the county, and I'm gonna come right back to you.
I can't finish my,
I'm gonna come back to you.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Still spinning. All right. These are unusual parcels. As the owner stated, they're unlike anything else. They're unlike anything else in Waxhaw. They're unlike anything else in the county. It's a small lot. It's a townhome lot, basically. The structures do not touch like typical townhomes do, but they're about the same size. I have, the comps I used were the same for each parcel. They're the same 3 unique parcels. They are located in a new subdivision that is called Main Street Station. That's a townhome subdivision. We did that because the lots were similar and the square footages were similar. And what I did was I adjusted the comp or some. So if you'll bear with me, we can go through the first one. Doesn't matter. I'm looking at 31A. We can look at whichever one you want. Which one's the first one? 31. We can look at 31. Parcel ending 031, if you'd like. So we have,
And that's 427 on this map, right?
correct.
Subject, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yep, 31. So what I did is I assumed that the land is the same. So we have the subject at 47.3. I eliminated the land increase from comp number 1, 2, and 3. So if you look at comp number 1 and 2 and 3, their value is 35.2. So there would have been a positive adjustment to that to get it to 47.3. So I'm saying the land is the same, so I remove that adjustment up, which in turn lowers the value. The owner spoke of values changing between the informal level and today, and that was because we had them listed incorrectly. We had them at average plus, or a few of them at average plus, and I have since gone back and changed the grade to average on all of them. Which is why they lowered just a little bit. So I have 3 sales from a townhome neighborhood just off of Waxhaw Road, about a half mile away, and the values are stated in the agenda. We have, one other thing, maybe a couple other things. The owner stated that it was a home and a mother-in-law suite, and we have them listed like that. We have them listed as 2 dwellings. They are 2 unique dwellings. They're not attached, other than by a deck. They have separate air conditioning units. Stacked water, washer and dryers do not make a difference. If you have one or you don't, that would make a difference, but stacked or unstacked to us don't make a difference. I don't see where that would be a deal breaker. So our values are listed on the agenda, and our current values are listed on the agenda, and that's where we're at.
So you got, on 31, you got a main dwelling of 999 square
Yes, sir.
feet, right?
Yes, sir.
So what's the square footage of the mother-in-law suite?
About 400 square feet. I'm trying to pull up my schedule. Yeah, it's 999 on the front dwelling, and we have 440 on the rear dwelling, for a total of 1439.
And that's on that one track.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, 31A is unique in that it's a one-story dwelling by itself. The rest are all the same.
And the reason we don't see the mother-in-law suite in this one.
In the comper, so yeah,
Well,
so
in-
it picks up, when we run this grid
In the
estimate.
subject.
it picks up the first dwelling, so that's the bigger of the two.
Right.
So what I did there again was I adjusted the square footage values for the three comps so that they would reflect the subject having 1,439. Instead of giving it a greater adjustment
Okay.
because it's so much smaller, or it appears to be so much smaller, I adjusted it as if the square footage was 1,439. So that.
Versus 999.
Versus the
Right,
one
okay.
dwelling. I included both square footages in the compers.
Okay.
Or
That's
sales, yeah. So it's looking at the same square footage.
So Donnie, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that might be a question, Mr. Pfister, but there's five, he's appealing 5 properties.
Yep.
Do all 5 of these properties have, are they a main dwelling with a mother-in-law suite? Or is one of them,
No, here, let me do it this way. I've got,
that'd be helpful.
I think that's going to help you. So I've got a map. I like Eagle View. What we're going to see on this map is an overview of these parcels.
Thank you.
Yeah, how do you do that? Yeah. Is that it? Yeah, I don't know. So here's the difference. 31A is a one-story structure. And then as we go down or south on the page, 31C, 31, 31D, and 31E are all the 2-story in the front side, 1-story in the back.
I don't know about that.
I think you said 31F is under construction.
Yes. Well, it's going to be 2019.
Yeah. So we're zoomed in too far, yeah.
I'm assuming if he decided to sell them, there would be some kind of cost to cure piece that would be applied for the, but I wouldn't think that would be a large expense
What would be a cost to cure?
on the easement as he talks about getting the parking to the back. I reckon the further you go south,
Yeah, so there's a driveway along the back. I have a map of that too. It shows the sewer easement.
Right.
Should be like this. And you can see, he's utilized the, I'm sorry? Yes, ma'am.
Beg your pardon?
Yeah, on the back side to the 1-story structures. I'm sorry. It may be on the first parcel, which was, I'm sorry, I didn't put those with each individual, so it might just be under tab number 5. That shows in the yellow, that's the sewer line, and then the blue is obviously the water line. I can't speak to what will happen in the future. Right now, it looks like they're both being rented,
I've seen it.
Right.
You want to show it, Mike?
either together or individually, so I don't know why you would want to sell one separate from the other, but I don't know. Right now, they're being used, and they're being assessed as they're used.
Right.
So I don't see why we would separate them.
Dutch, if I may, you're talking about if one was to sell and the easement to gain access to it. Typically, as long as the owner owns the adjacent parcels, we don't adjust for the access because he has access. If he was to sell one, he would have to adjust, work that out and remedy that before at the time of sale.
Right.
So as long as he owns the parcels surrounding it, he has access. There's no issue at this point.
right, yeah, there's no issue now. I think the only issue
And if he was to
is-
sell it, it would be fixed too, because he would need to fix it to sell it, so there would be no issue then either.
Right, okay.
Right?
Ready, any questions for Donnie?
Yeah, is the taxpayer aware of the reduction you made from the original
Not
value?
the most recent reduction. It was just a few dollars, like a couple $1,000s on each parcel, maybe a little bit more, but not, He's not aware of that until today.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because each of these are within about 25 grand, I think, on average, between
yes, sir.
where the taxpayer is and where the county is.
Yes, sir. They're very close.
Anything else, Dutch?
I don't think so.
All right,
No questions.
fine. All right, Mr. Pfister, I told you I'd give you your time. I think we got the concept, though. I don't, if you would, make your comments as brief as possible.
Okay, so I want to make sure that I was clear. You can't sell, I'm not talking about you can't sell you can't sever the house from the granny suite, okay? We're talking about if he's
Right.
going to appraise individual lots.
You gotta sell the whole thing.
You got to sell the whole thing.
If you-
The back parking cannot be cured if you sell it individually. That cannot be cured. It can't be cured because either a public or a private access, you can't have a width of 12 feet for an ingress in and out. So that's gone. All right, now, he says he adjusted for the land, but that's not what he has on his appraisal. He's showing 47,000. Okay, and so what I'm saying is, the land value should be shown as according to what it really is.
So do you agree with the comps at 35.2 on the other properties?
I agree that all the value of the lots are 35.2 less that access easement, because the value, if you go to, Exhibit E, I have listed 423 through 425. That's the acreage of the parcel, the townhome value, the value per acre, the right-of-way acreage, and the right-of-way value, and a 45% reduction, which is allowed for me under these rules, under the taxpayers administrators' rules, for a reduction, for an easement in the back. That means each one of these buildings, that valuation should vary from, or the reduction should vary from 27,775 down to, or up to 3,134, with values, again, ranging from 32,425 up to 32,065. And that's what you see in my spreadsheet. So again, I've got the assessed land and the proposed land, and then his assessed building, and then the depreciation, which I haven't used, and then I've developed two building values. Those building values are based on the property right behind me. Okay, I'm going to back up for just a minute. The comp he used is a single comp. It's the same house, exactly the same unit. You can see it, it's the, if you go to Exhibit H, it's a single townhome, it has 3 different elevations, it's 1 comp. It's not 3 comps. Exhibit I is the streetscape. It also shows the rear parking of the unit for the comp that he has used. Exhibit J is the picture of my property. Note the right-of-way in front of my property is 8 feet wide. There is no sidewalk. There is no additional parking. The comp not only has parking in the back, but they have parking in the front, specialized parking. Again, this is all due to that HOA property, which needs to be adjusted if he's going to use a townhome comp. Exhibit J also shows the single-family home, my individual, the one that's just a one-story. And then Exhibit J shows the front elevation of the 2-story house and the accessory structure in the back. Exhibit J is the interior of my kitchen in the main house. And then I go to parcel, or Exhibit K. This is a project that's right behind mine. It's very similar in nature. It has a two-story structure in the front and you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question, just general question.
Yeah.
This is a lot of material. Has the staff seen this? Has the county staff seen this package you're going over?
No, because I was told that I needed to bring it here today to distribute it to everybody.
That's all I want.
Yeah, no. Okay, so this building right behind me, so I guess I'm gonna go back for just 1 second. Again, the burden of proof is on me here. So, all I can go by is what he says. He's showing the land value at 47.3. I'm going to just direct your attention to Exhibit E before I move on.
Which one?
Exhibit E.
E?
Yes, sir. Exhibit E shows my property. It shows the two parcels, and all the parcels adjacent to my parcel, my property. He has correctly appraised Lot 31B and 5031F at 35.2. So he actually did appraise two of my lots at 35.2. Those are correct. I did not contest those two parcels. My neighbor's property, which is right adjacent to me, is valued at 49.8. It is 4 times the size of mine. And again, all I can do is go based on what the taxpayer's data says. He says his land value is $47,000. And then my other neighbor's parcel is valued at $50,000. That's 4.35 times as large as mine.
Now, can those property owners, though, can they subdivide that property
Yes, they can.
into how many lots?
Currently, the town of Waxhaw gives them 35 feet. They changed, I have been told, and I don't know if this is true, that they changed the Waxhaw UDO partially because of what I did here.
So my point being, I'm gonna use the one that's 49.8, okay, right beside you. Once subdivided, those lots become much more valuable. They're appraising it as one lot. If they subdivide that, then his lots, if it'll subdivide into 3 lots, then he's talking about $105,000 in value for the total property. So I think, I understand what you're saying here, but
All my point is here is my lot should be valued at 35.2 as a townhome lot.
okay.
That's all I'm saying. Okay, so I'm going to go back to K. This is the building right behind me. This is a 2-story structure in the front. Both the first floor and the second floor are equal in square footage, just like mine. I'm not saying my square footage is the same, but I'm saying that the envelope of the building is similar. And then it has a detached garage and another unit above the garage. If you go to K, it gives all the specifics of this, and if you would pull out my spreadsheet, I'm going to develop 2 different numbers for you on this building. The assessed building is $415,000. You take away the shed, which using a value of $34.53 times 190 square feet, 196 square feet, you get $67.67. Those values are coming from the schedule of values in the tax administration documents. Less the shed, it's $408,233, so I'm at the building comparison, I'm reading from left to right. Then you take away the garage, using a value of $26.25 times 997 square feet equals $26,171. That $26.25 is interpolated from page 15, Exhibit M. So I'm going to go back and look at Exhibit M.
I'm gonna be honest with you. You're losing me. Too much information.
Too much information, yeah, and I was,
Too much information.
okay, so I'm going to keep this simple, then. Once you take if I take the assessed building value just behind me, I take away the shed and the garage, I'm coming up with $97.86 a square foot for a value. Okay? 97.86. That's what he's valued a building right behind me as, and he has not aggregated those structures. He has valued the front, and he has valued the rear. I then use the schedule of values to increase that square footage. So underneath the proposed building value, I have an adjusted value due to size. So I've added I've added dollars from the 97.86 to 101 for the first floor number per square foot, and another $20 or so for a value of $119 per square foot for the second floor. And so I've developed a high building value. So for the house, it's $49,000 for the first floor, $61,000 for the second floor, and $44,000 for the granny, for a total of $155,000. That is on the schedule under proposed building high for 423 Brevard. It's 155,028. Essentially, I've done all my calculations, again, based on the most expensive unit on my property. The building low essentially aggregates my one property as an individual sale and looks at the value, again, according to the schedules. And this time, I have differences in value that come down, 56, 104, 56, and I develop a low. And I do this for both 429 and 435. Now, I'm not suggesting that the high is correct. It's too high because it hasn't adjusted for value of this project. I'm going to go and have you take a look at Exhibit L.
I've heard enough. I think we all
Okay.
heard enough.
Okay?
I'm done.
Well,
Okay.
and to Ray's point, I mean, I think we need to have the county look at all this information. If the county hadn't reviewed everything this gentleman's put together, maybe have the county.
Would you allow them to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I want a fair value, and I don't want to contest this any
What?
farther than here.
You might want
When
to-
it's my turn, I'd like to speak.
Okay.
You like to do what?
I'd like to speak when it's my turn. Okay. I don't want to interrupt.
All right, I'm just going to run through the last couple
No.
of... No, I'm done? Okay.
You're done.
All right.
All due respect.
That's fine. I understand. I understand.
Exhibit K the front structure is a duplex, vertical. The floors are not attached. The only access to the second floor is outside. And then there is an apartment over a garage. We have it listed as a duplex and a garage with a finished upper, apartment quality. The front building is over 3,000 square feet and is not comparable to the subject parcels right beside it. And to answer, I do not need to review this. I feel our values are good.
Okay. Any of y'all need a break?
I kind of took advantage of it. If you want to, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
I'm good. You good? We're good. We're going to keep going. We're rolling.
Can I come back and speak for a minute?
No, sir?
No, we don't have time for that.
No.
Do we have any more on the?
I think that's it.
There's staff recommendations, the rest of them.
Well, yeah, I understand,
Yeah.
but we'll get those,
Yeah, after, yeah.
start back on one.
Sure. Parcel ID number 06204-131.
Okay. I think they're kind of close. One's a mass appraisal, one's whatever.
That's kind of where I am.
I'm just not gonna, get picky. I'm gonna make a no change on parcel number, well, we'll just say tab number 1. 131, that's my motion.
Any questions, or I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ray. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye. Like sign no. Thank you.
Tab number 2, parcel ID number 011290002.
The only thing, I was doing my math on this one. All right, so Mr. Morrison is saying the improvements are worth 418. The land, according to the county, is worth 197. That's 615. But I'm not recommending or suggesting that, but I was doing the math. Land cost $4,285 an acre, or land value. That's kind of low. You got standing timber. I don't know what the age of it is. By no means, I don't know if it's ready to harvest or not.
My only thought process on this is it's kind of hard to look at a property or look at a house, and just say structure unless you're going to do a cost factor. Because wherever the land is and whatever it's sitting on increases the value of the building. So I don't know how we're going to be able to say, okay, this one, we're going to say land doesn't have anything to do with it. We're just going to say you're going to put a building up here. And then somebody goes out and says now 4 to 17 miles over here, it looks like that building. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I just, I have a hard time grasping the fact that that's where this is ending up. I think you have to do the whole thing, a whole parcel, land with it.
And adjust for it in the homes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, kind of where I was hanging at, the county comps are just closer.
Yeah.
I mean, that,
Yeah.
a couple of those on State Line Road, I mean, we know where that is. I mean, that's down.
That's way.
I know.
You know.
So that appraisal, that situation, I have to say again, I don't, think it's that much for me, so I'll make a motion we accept the county's value.
Questions or a motion?
I'll second.
We got a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
All right?
Aye. Like sign no. Thank you.
Tab number 3, parcel ID number 031565050. Was a no-show.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, we accept the tax office's new opinion of value on this parcel to $258,900.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ray. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Like the sign no. Thank you.
Tab number 4, parcel ID number 091050886.
Mr. Chairman, looking at this parcel, I have to say that taxes office has a new opinion of value of $353,200. The taxpayer's opinion of value was $325, and I would have to say that's, in my opinion,
Okay.
it's close enough. So mass appraisal is mass appraisal.
I agree to second it. I mean, I agree that it's a very unique property, but I think it's very close.
I do too.
think it's just very close.
Hey, Mark, didn't he say 331,000?
He might have, I didn't write it down.
I wrote it down, but
Okay,
maybe I missed it. But I did write it down.
so I make a new change, or the new value of $353,200
Second.
is my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
So I got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Like sign no. The only change I would recommend or suggest for Mr. Pfister is that on his lots, he be given, or think, 35.2 for each lot, rather than,
Randy?
Brad?
Brad, can I interject something?
nah, it's too late.
I mean, to these, I know we normally,
Too late, yeah. But thank you, Brad. You-
And your opinion, Mr. Chairman, is to look at the value of the 35.2
Look, just,
based on the easements or something, I don't.
well, I mean, the vacant lots are 35.2.
Okay,
And so, I'm saying that if these lots that were built on were vacant, they'd be worth 35.2. And these lots that he's got will have water, sewer access, they just haven't been tapped, if you want to call it that yet, but they're gonna be
Right.
tapped. But I mean, that's just my opinion.
and then you're running the 35.2 to each and every other
Each
lot all
lot.
the way down.
Yep.
Wasn't he saying that it had been adjusted down to 35 too, or not?
Well, you look right here, this is 47.3.
Right.
But it's improved property. Don't we have that as a situation in mass appraisal to begin? You know, when you take a parcel of land, but if you have an improvement on it, it does increase the total value of the thing. I don't know how that works, but I've heard it before.
Yeah.
Well, if you're buying a lot of subdivision.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, the 35.2 is reflected in the new opinion of value.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yes, I heard it.
The new
I agree with
opinion, the
that.
new opinion of value reflects 35.
That's in each other
So
part.
the 47.3 that I'm looking at,
That's been looking.
On his spreadsheet,
well, no, on the, right here, on your counties. So they're saying I see what you're saying.
The new
Because you got
value,
The
I
fair
think
market
the
value
new
is
recommended value.
223.9.
so, for example, on parcel number 5, the
I'm
tax
on
office.
I'm on the subject, so I see what you're saying, because you got fair market value of 223,900, but we lowered it to 212,500 based on,
Exactly,
exactly, yeah, okay, I got you,
So
okay.
it's been adjusted
yes.
numerous times. And it's
That's
finally
my,
down,
that's my.
Okay, got you.
now it's down to 212,
Yeah.
500.
Any more discussion, questions?
That's it.
So was there a motion?
Nope, there was
Fine.
not.
If it's a motion you're asking for, I'll make a motion on this one to,
On all of them or just the one?
on all of them.
Okay.
New opinion of value by the county was, and I'm not gonna name all the numbers, but you know what I mean.
Right,
We'll just say parcel, or tab number 5 is 212,500. And each of these other parcels have been lowered based on that information. So 2,512.
is that a motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Got a second by Dutch, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, like sign no, thank you.
Okay. Tab number 10 to 15 are staff recommendations.
Do I hear a motion that we accept the staff recommendations for tabs 10 through 15?
So moved.
Second.
I got a first by Dutch, second by Mark. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Like sign no. Do I hear a motion, we adjourn?
I make a motion we adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Mr. Chairman, we were told that we have a meeting Wednesday morning,
Yes.
and everyone needs to be here.
There you go.
And we're not having a meeting Thursday. We're gonna take a couple of weeks off too, right? Is that from the emails that I've gotten? Okay, you will confirm. All right, good. So just one more.
And got a heavy agenda Wednesday.
Don't know.
Status on Wednesday, agenda, do we?